right now in Canada, we're doing a really shitty job of reaching that social generation. We actually make a lot of really great stuff for 2 to 12-year-olds. And that's all curated content. Like, the good thing is the parents have control, but right when, a kid gets one of these, they become very fractured. And that's what we've found in the last little while. That's why all the brands don't know how the billboards aren't working, that 10-foot experience of television's not working, all that stuff. So there's this huge kind of gap where there's leaks in the funnel where all of these 18 to 35-year-olds are losing out. Now, the other thing that's happening is if you look at most of the programming that's being created, it's being created for people, generally it skews for over 35-year-olds. Like, even when you look at the movie network, most of their audience is over 35. So what that means in the long term, and even people that think that, oh, well, Quebec-wide has this great culture, if only we had that star system. Well, right now, it's down to 3% of Quebecers go see their own content, and less than 10% of that 3% is under 35. So one of the big things is we're not refilling the hopper. So the audience that you're playing to, or whatever your content is doing now, it's getting older and it's not being replaced. We're not. So one of the things to think about too is there's a huge opportunity to reconnect almost 2 generations that don't even know Canadian movies really even exist. The great thing about the web that I love about it is you can connect with niches unlike any time before. Like, we can actually find them. We actually know there's groups. Like, it's why Comic-Con has become so effective, because there's all of this ways to leverage, like even why Rue Morgue's built a little empire out here. They're really smart. Jason Eisner, the smartest thing he did, he goes, I know that the guy that's going to see my movie is me. I have a John Carpenter collection. I have a comic book collection. I'm making a movie, and that's one of the things about you guys, is a lot of the times your sensibility, you need to find the other people with your sensibility, and you can do it through this kind of way.
Today, filmmakers, very similar to the way the bands were, they have to think about the 360 of their business. That doesn't mean they have to do it all, and that doesn't mean that there has to be, I always get frustrated when I'm on a panel and the guy next to me is saying, well, if you're an independent film producer today, you can't go into Sundance, or you can't go into Toronto without 50,000, people on your Facebook page. And it's just this arbitrary number to make it seem like you did something. And the truth is that it's not the number, it's making sure that you're building the right tool set so that as you do it, and there's a great opportunity, by the way. Nobody wants to pay for anything. So if you have a movie and you made your own website before you sold the movie, or you made a deal, or you made your own Facebook page, truth is that most of the independent distributors are going to be great. Now we don't have to pay for it, But what they're actually also allowing you to do is to own your own community. And I do think that that's very, very important. 80% of the movies that I marketed, I did a lot this year, 80% of them had Kickstarter campaigns, right? Sometimes 1 or 2. And a lot of times people look at Kickstarter with just the raw, I raised X dollars, But that's not really what Kickstarter is about. What Kickstarter is that yes, it's that money, but there's also 3,000 or 4,000 people that have given anywhere from $5 to $500 or $5,000 for a couple people, what have you, that have basically been the first to become champions of the idea of the project, right? So are filmmakers just going to suddenly, once their film is sold or their film gets distribution, say to the studio or to the production entity, oh yeah, here's the password and the login to my Kickstarter account, go do whatever you want with it. Now that you guys bought the movie, now you own that too. It's not going to happen. So already, just like what happened with the bands, already filmmakers are going to have to be brought into a process and given transparency that they never were able to have before. So what I'm told to do is to spend 100% of my money to take people that are the most passionate about the movie, and we build that through community, to go and buy a $12 ticket, $12 item, okay? Netflix and others is bringing it down, so if it's part of a subscription base, just like with music, it's going to be a $0 item. It's going to be a percentage of subscription, and that's happening. iTunes is going to go down, and they're going to keep reducing their numbers. The music industry was not able to go up, they only went down. What I love and what I'm seeing is go to bonesbrigade.com and see what Stacy Peralta is doing with his doc. before it went to iTunes, and it's still having the same iTunes, still having its theatrical. He has, he has a skateboarding doc, so he's got a certain audience, but he's got, just like on Kickstarter, he's got a $20, for the sake of argument, a $20 package, the movie with a skateboard and a t-shirt, then he's got a $30 item, then he's got a $100 on his website, then he's got a $100 item. You talk to him, the average price between $75 and $100. Kickstarter, which is, yes, raising money to make a movie, the average contribution is $25, not $12, not 99 cents, not free. So Kickstarter is getting filmmakers to get $30,000, not because 30,000 people are giving, or for even let's say $12, a $12, they're because they're bundling in things that round out what that purchase is to their highest margin customers, highest margin fans. They're able to raise the checkout, because I do a lot of retail, their checkout to $25 on an average.
We have built into our production financing money, approximately $600,000 for digital marketing strategy. One of our financiers is Participant Media. Participant has also earmarked $500,000 outside of the production financing, but as part of a P&A spend. It's going to sit in the waterfall, which is the return when the money comes back. It'll get paid back before production financing, but after distribution expenses. So it's sitting in this special place, and it was part of our deal with them. As part of our strategy on day one, we built into our production budget, not a huge amount of money, but $500,000-$600,000, and then we have another $500,000 from Participant, all earmarked towards building an audience, building awareness, so that when we make our domestic distribution deal, our international sales deals, we have some sort of runway. We've shown some evidence of our, I guess, some groundswell. Yeah, people aren't doing their jobs, and you as a producer now have to figure out, how do you finance this? How do you, and in fact, that's a bigger deal, and we can talk about it if you want to hear more about it, but how do you finance something that is not, you've got to get a bond and insurance, and you've got equity investors who want to know that everything's going on the screen. How do you tell them you're going to spend $500,000 on digital initiatives when they're like, well, let's wait and see what the film looks like, and let's see what the distributor says, and let's have them spend the money. You've got to educate your financiers as well.
If you're smart with the spend, the big spend is the ramp up. It's the flight, and usually the biggest amount of the spend is in the 3 weeks before the movie comes out. That's assuming you have a theatrical release and you're going to play to all the particulars. But truthfully, early on, it's kind of rolling up your sleeves and getting in the trenches and doing the work. Never spend your money early. I mean, always realize that, you know, what's so great and so terrible about this world of this and all of that is that we forget that this is a business of human interaction. And I think it becomes so easy for people to get overly caught up in, I can email and I can do all this and that, but you know what? The truth is, what we're doing here with you guys would have sucked if it were over Skype or over teleconferencing. It's being able to interact in the manner in which we are that's really advantageous. So I think what Ron is really attempting to do, and under his leadership, our marketing team is working to put together, what we've done with Dolphin Tale, is realize early on, it's no different. You just want to get people knowing about it. You want to find the right ways to get people talking about it, and exclusivity is important. I don't know about you, but my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, I like that. To me, that curation is more valuable than Google. And I like to be able to be the first person to share with my friends a piece of music or information about a new film or whatever else. But that's true of many people. So if you can get those tastemakers and those trendsetters and get to them and get them to care about the film, I'll show you a preview of the film. I'll show you a clip. I'll give you something that you can share with your audience. They're incentivized to want to help you.
One Monday morning, we were looking at our fan number, and I think it was like 7,000 or something like that at that point. And we thought that how can we get people to invite all their friends to, like the page and increase that number of people following us. So we came up with this idea that let's do this competition where people have to take a screenshot when they're on our fan page, because then we can see how many of their friends like the page. And the people, or the person with the most friends who like the page will get a flip cam and basically can start shooting their own stuff. So obviously the idea was that people will invite all their friends to try to win the flip cam. So there was a guy who had like 3,000 friends who all liked Shankaboot, and obviously won the flip cam. A couple of months after, we sent him the flip cam, and we got an email from him saying that I'm really sorry, guys, that I feel so bad, that unbelievable, you actually sent me the flip cam. He was based in Manchester in UK. That I can't believe that you actually sent it, that I've done something horrible, that I actually invited all my friends, I told them to come and like the page so that I can win the camera. That was the whole idea, that's what we wanted to do. But the guy felt bad that he had done it, cheekily. So these kind of things. That was just a simple idea. And the main thing for me is that you shouldn't be doing what other people do, because that's just boring, and people will not kind of get engaged by that and get excited about that. You should always try to do something that hasn't been done before. It's good to look at other stuff that other people have done. You see what works and what doesn't work. But at the same time, the whole idea of actually advertising and marketing, doing things, is that you do something that hasn't been done before, or you do it in a way that somebody else didn't think before, because that basically makes people share those things within those online communities where they are, and they get excited. And like Noam was saying, he's excited to be the first guy to release that video or post that video and so on. And this same applies to anything, basically. Even with this, if it's marketing materials for your film and so on, there will be always those opinion makers who want to be the first one to share these with their friends, and then they start going around and accumulating. Key thing is to monitor. It's art from itself, in terms of looking at your statistics and data that you get. That's a very important thing. Look at what's happening. What are people talking about you? We discussed it at length the other day. Basically, if you don't know actually what people are saying about you, you don't know what you should tell them, about you and your project and so on. So the key thing is to monitor all the communications, and what are the things online that people are saying about your film, or whether it's anything you do, basically. And above all, also, you got to engage with people, and you have to interact. That's the kind of key thing. So it's not enough that you have the Facebook fan page for your film that's coming out in a month or 2 months, and you have your 50 friends who you know and who know the people who you work with, and then you post something here now and then. That's not enough at all. Same thing with the crowdfunding. Things that you do online, it's you can do a Kickstarter page and hope that you raise $500,000, but if you don't actually spread that information and get people excited about it, make phone calls, post, and just keep on pushing people, you're not going to raise that money. It's all about keeping at it constantly and pushing it on different means and so on.